people's house. I want to welcome democracy back to the people's house. That on last Thursday, members of this body tried to crucify democracy, but today we stand as a witness of a resurrection of a movement of a multiracial democracy that no unjust decision will stand.
Democracy. They tried to expel the people's choice and the people's vote. And they awaken a sleeping giant.
It wasn't an easy thing for me to do. But I'm hearing you blame this on your youth. But just because you don't get your way and you grab a couple friends doesn't mean you can come to the well while we're conducting business in session. Other members are waiting to have their bills to be heard. They have constituents too, 60, 70,000 times another 80.
Hello everyone, welcome to this special edition of our almost special report. We talk about the Tennessee 3. Yes, the Tennessee 3. Two members of the Tennessee 3 were expelled but got reinstated. We'll talk about that coming up. But first thing first, join in the conversation using the hashtag #ViralHillConnect. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe if you can. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing. As we talk about the Tennessee 3, yes, these three lawmakers, Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, and Gloria Johnson, all trying to make a stand. They're Democrat lawmakers trying to make a stand after what the recent events happened in their state with children being killed with guns. They want to make change, but the Republican lawmakers in that state does not. They want to keep everything remain the same. Let's get a little recap on what transpired with the Tennessee 3 being expelled and getting reinstated. Let's take a look.
The slide to an autocracy looks like a Democratic member has been expelled from the Tennessee state legislature for participating in a peaceful protest alongside his constituents, many of them children and young people, terrified of the epidemic of gun violence in the country and in their state. Representative Justin Jones has been expelled from the Tennessee state legislature. Congresswoman Barbara Lee.
As you saw right there, the Tennessee 3 members, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, got kicked out of the state legislation, and got quickly reinstated by their constituents, the citizens of their of what they represent. Now, the time is now that we hear from what the Tennessee 3 had to say. Let's look and hear from what they say in a recent interview.
Try Zero free for 30 days.
Break a rule that could lead to our possible expulsion.
Back now with the shocking scene in Nashville last week as the Tennessee House of Representatives voted to expel 3 lawmakers after protesting gun violence on the House floor following the city's Covenant school shooting.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 have been ousted now, as you know, and are fighting to get their jobs back. Joining us right now, the group known as the Tennessee 3, Tennessee State Representative Gloria Johnson, and newly expelled State Representatives Justin J. Pearson and Justin Jones. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know it's a busy day and you have to get back for a vote. But Representative Pearson, when you took to the floor with the bullhorn, you say you knew it would be violating decorum rules, but did you have any idea that the backlash would be like this from your colleagues?
No, we had no idea that what we were doing would break a rule that could lead to our possible expulsion or our actual expulsions. What we were doing was listening to voters who said that we need to listen to the people who want to have gun safety laws. We need to stop the epidemic of gun violence, and we need to stop the proliferation of weapons in our communities in addition to our schools. This was a tragedy that happened at the Covenant School in Nashville, but instead of addressing the tragedy, the Republican supermajority in Tennessee decided that using our First Amendment right to listen to the thousands of protesters deserved expulsion.
Representative Jones, when did you realize that you may actually lose your job over this?
I think the escalation that we saw was when the House Speaker Cameron Sexton went on national news and lied and compared this to January 6th insurrection. That was the escalation where we started hearing these calls for expulsion because he mischaracterized what we did and protests to try and end gun violence with the violent, events on January 6th.
So you brought a bullhorn to the floor. And then the next day, I was talking to Representative Johnson. The next day, something happened that one would argue was worse decorum than what happened when you brought the bullhorn to the floor. Tell me about that.
We walked to the floor of the well because we were being silenced by the speaker and by people in positions of power who weren't listening to the thousands of people who showed up to the Capitol saying to do something. We walked to the well of the floor in a peaceful protest because we know that there is a way to end and to prevent gun violence from happening. And the Republican Party in Tennessee would rather try to put more guns and security officers in schools than solutions. And right now, what we are seeing is the erosion of our democracy. What we are seeing is an attack not only on the First Amendment, but the erosion of our democracy that should be of concern to everybody, regardless of political party.
But the next day,
what he was referring to was the incident with this. Remember when they read our expulsions out, and the people in the gallery got vocal, and then the altercation that you had.
Yeah, so you actually got shot.
So Representative Lafferty from Knoxville, in response to me trying to record the people and media being kicked out of the House gallery, snatched my phone and pushed me. And that obviously was a breach of decorum. But as we see, there's not accountability when it comes from people on their side. For us, for a mere act of nonviolent protest, immediate expulsion. But for an act of violence, an act of instigating reaction, there is no remorse and no accountability.
And there was like a huddle on the floor of at least 15, I guess, legislators trying to separate people and that sort of thing. And that to me is far more disturbing than just listening to the people and telling them that we see them and we are there for them.
Let's talk about the racial dynamic here, because a lot of people have noticed Representative Johnson is a white woman. You were not expelled. The two of you were expelled, and people are looking at this going, okay, what's really going on here? What do you take of all of this?
Yeah, we cannot ignore the racial dynamics that are undergirding actually this institution within the state capitol. And we really have to make sure that in this conversation we are not only addressing the racial dynamic, but why were expulsion papers filed on any of us? The reason was because we were advocating for an end of gun violence. We said we have to stand up to the National Rifle Association and the Tennessee Firearms Association that is big donors and supporters of a lot of people in the Republican Party of Tennessee. We're here and we had papers filed and were expelled not only because we had a peaceful protest, but it was what we were talking about, which was listening to the millions of Tennesseans who actually want to see change. That's what ended up happening, and going against that status quo that says you need to be silent and you need to be controlled by people in power and you don't need to listen to your constituents like Larry Thorne and his mother. That is what got that resistance to the status quo is what led to our expulsion. What do you think?
I think there's no coincidence that the two youngest black lawmakers, I'm 27, Representative Pearson is 28, were kicked out by an almost entirely white 75-member caucus on strictly partisan lines. It was a political lynching. It was an attempt to make a spectacle, an example out of us, to say, how dare you think you are equal? And what they're doing is, which the most egregious part is, it's not about us, but it's about the 78,000 people each of us represent, predominantly black and brown constituents who have no voice on Capitol Hill right now, no one to do their constituent relations, no one to speak for them. It's about the people whose voices have now been suppressed. Their will, as duly elected lawmakers, we've been ousted and now they have no representation on Capitol Hill.
But go ahead.
And our voters knew who we were. They knew that we were loud, we were vocal about the issues, and they voted for us for that very reason.
And just quickly in the time that we have left, your hopes of getting back there. I know you have to get back today for a vote. What's happening there?
So the city council is voting to reappoint me. I know Representative Pearson on Wednesday, the county commission in Shelby County. But the question is going to be if the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, is going to try to obstruct democracy once again. But my hope is not in Cameron Sexton or the Republican supermajority. It's in these young people who took to the Capitol and who are really our transformational force for change in our state and across this nation.
I know you have a flight to catch. Justin J. Pearson, Justin Jones, and Tennessee Representative Gloria Johnson.
The Tennessee 3 members all pointing out that they just want to make change. They want to make things right and keep guns away from people who doesn't need the access to get them. that is the problem. And some people are getting access to get them and doing what they want. Hopefully, the Republican lawmakers get their stuff together. One Republican lawmaker said, and it's a couple. Let's hear what one Republican lawmaker had to say about Tennessee 3 right now.
From a political standpoint, would it have been better to censure them and none of this would have happened, none of this coverage?
Well, it depends on what you think the punishment should have been or the consequence. It's something that's never happened. They led a protest on the House floor and shut us down. It was their choice to do it. They made the decision, those three. The Democrat caucus didn't say, you three go do it. The Republican caucus didn't say, you three go do it. They chose to do that. The level that I thought that they should get to is expulsion. Censorship is too light. It's a piece of paper. It means absolutely nothing. They have been disruptive in committees on the House floor for the whole time this year.
Do you worry about the precedent that this sets, not for Tennessee, but we all know the reciprocity multiplier. There's Democratic state-controlled state legislatures. Do you worry that now all of a sudden it's open season on Republicans across the country?
What I worry about is following the House rules that we all voted on, that we approved, to make sure that we all operate under the same rules, the same level of decorum, and the same respect for the institution. They decided that they don't want to live by the rules. They decided they didn't respect the institution. They decided that they were going to commandeer and lead a protest. In my mind, we set an example that that's not allowed on the House floor. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an Independent, a Green Party, a Libertarian. At the end of the day, if you do that on our House floor in Tennessee, you should be expelled.
All right. Just so you can respond.
It wasn't an easy thing for me to do. I'm hearing you blame this on your youth, but just because you don't get your way and you grab a couple friends doesn't mean you can come to the well while we're conducting business in session. Other members are waiting to have their bills to be heard. They have constituents too, 60, 70,000 times another 80. Millions of people. Just because you don't get your way, you can't come to the well, bring your friends, and throw a temper tantrum with an adolescent bullhorn. It doesn't give you the right to enrage folks that are here to watch this body conduct business and talk about things you know good and well that we've worked hard. We've worked very hard to protect our children here in the state of Tennessee. Very hard.
Wrong, dastardly, and inexcusable. Let's hope this lawmaker makes sure that he doesn't feel the same effects families feel when they lose loved ones from gun violence and that could be prevented from people like him, since he's a higher state representative like the House Speaker. Even worse, the Republican lawmakers, you need an audio voice, and they had something real heinous to say. Look at this.
I think now, more than ever, everyone should recognize that Democrats are not our friends. I listened for the last 3 days that Democrats, Sam McKenzie, the Chisholm, the Parkinson, trash us as racists. I've never had anybody call me a racist. And for the last 3 days, all I have heard from them is how this is the most racist place. One of these white supremacists. Good Lord, we have to realize they are not our friends. They can smile, and that doesn't mean I can't be polite to them, but they are not our friends. They destroy the Republic and the foundation of who we are, or we preserve it. That is the reality where we are right now. And if the last 3 days have not proven that, we need to find a new job. There's never been a more important time for us to be unified. There are 75 of us. Let them call their names they're going to call them. We need to move forward. We need to pass the gun. We need to pass the program bill, wherever Mark is. Man, we do not slow down because of their traffic. We can't. The only way we move forward with some sort of unity is to call out what happened on the House floor the other night. I feel like we were hung out to dry by a couple of members. And Jody, I'm just going to say it here because you signed a letter. You straight up came to me and said you were 100% where I was. And you went on the House floor and you did the opposite. Man, you hung us out to dry. And I would like you personally, this is not personal. And if Brian Terry was here, I'd say the same thing to him. This would have been bad anyway, but good God, we brought the racism into it because you didn't stay with us. But I need to know, and I don't want to hear why there wasn't a proponent of veterans, an attorney. I need to know why you flipped your vote at the last minute. You didn't let them know beforehand. Giving Johnny a 15-minute heads up doesn't cut it. And if Brian Terry was here, I want to hear from him too. I have to know.
We're going to keep the Senate bound. This is the place to say it. I haven't lied to anybody. Not one time. It pisses me off to suggest that I have. And some of my friends in here suggested that I lied. And that's bullcrap. I walked into that room to vote to expel all three of them, just like all of y'all. And the letter that I sent to the speaker, it says exactly what it says. Throw the book at it.
Hey, what up? This your boy Ricky Smiley. Hey, check this out. I'm sitting here watching all the stuff. Tennessee GOP fails to expel the white Democrat, but they expelled the two black Democrats. It's just blatant racism, and won't stand up for our kids, won't stand up for gun violence. But I want to say something. The congressman from New York said what I've been thinking all day. I want to see the Memphis Grizzlies refuse to play, and I want to see the Tennessee Volunteers in Middle Tennessee State University and all of these black athletes that's playing for those black teams in Tennessee, because look what they just did. They just kicked two black folks out of Congress today in the state of Tennessee, and it's straight racist, Jim Crow, racist to the core. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. I want to see everybody from Tennessee Vols to the Memphis Grizzlies or whatever start hitting them in the pocket, because when somebody staged a peaceful protest, Dr. King staged a peaceful protest, and now he has his on holiday, and everybody that was on the opposite end of everything with Dr. Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers and Rosa Parks and all of them was standing for, they are on the wrong side of history. That's why they're trying to erase your history now, or whatever, because everything that's going on then is still going on now. That's Representative Jamal Bowman. He's a Democrat from New York. And when you got three people that protested and you expel the two black ones, and then you don't expel the white one, excuse me, what does that say? What does that say? You know, it's racist, and here's somebody protesting for something serious. 6 people got killed. You know, who in the hell need assault rifles? What you need an assault? What does anybody in this country need an assault rifle for? That's something built to shoot down police officers. And this girl get a holster weapon. Now they passing laws where you don't even have to get background checks and all this kind of stuff to have an assault rifle. So now, what the Republicans said, we need to arm our teachers. Damn, the teachers don't even have enough school supplies to do what they need to do in order to teach. Now you want them to get a weapon and train? That's crazy. That's crazy. These people up here in Tennessee, everybody in the state of Tennessee, Memphis, Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, take a stand. Parents, send your kids some damn where else. Don't let them step foot on anybody's basketball court and football field. Hit that riding racist ass in the pocket. One thing about me, or whatever, I hate racist, I hate fascist, and I hate racism. I hate them. I hate them to the core. And hate is a strong word, but I hate a damn racist. And everybody, man, y'all, you know anybody in the Tennessee area, man? I am calling, if this video get out, I am calling for all black parents. They got their kids going to University of Tennessee, because that is one of the biggest programs in the SEC, or whatever. And I would say the same damn thing had some shit like that happen. They keep congressmen and voted them out And then in the state of Alabama, what they do in the state of Tennessee, I would call for the same thing. I even call for LSU players to stop playing when they kill Alton Sterling or whatever. Man, this stuff is crazy. It's crazy. We need to talk to our young people, let them know what's going on. We need to teach our history, and we need to get folks out to vote. Young people, come out. Everybody in Nashville, share this message. Rick Smiley, God bless y'all. Peace.
Justin Jones is back in the Tennessee legislature where he belongs. This never should have happened. It was a waste of time and money. And the guy that was ultimately responsible for it, Cameron Sexton, well, he's breaking the law. Yeah, he doesn't live in his home district. He sold his big house, bought a big house in Nashville instead of his home district. Bought a little house in his home district, but his neighbors there say he don't live there. He lives year-round in Nashville. Well, there's a big problem with that, folks. Not only is that against the Tennessee Constitution, but legislators in the Tennessee legislature are given a per diem. If you don't know what that is, that's a little something in your paycheck every day to cover your expenses. Those are to cover his expenses to come to Nashville and live in a hotel and eat and do all the things you need to do to take care of the people's business. Well, if they live outside Nashville, they get an extra $250 a day. Old Cameron Sexton's been stealing that money. He needs to go to jail for fraud.
Yeah, heinous about race. I think racism law, racism that have nothing to do with, the laws in that state, Tennessee, were white people. White people lost their lives. And, black people lost theirs in a couple of recent mass shootings, but white people in that state, in Tennessee, lost their lives in that school violence that could have been prevented. But here, who was we to say, who we to judge for them to not get it? All right. We let you believe what you want to see, and we're going to let you go with that. Put your theory to the test and see what you people think on that. Hopefully, we can find a resolution in that one day gun control will be prevented and not being, the Republicans being pickpocketed by the NRA to do their bidding. Hope that kind of will work and help. Thank you for watching this edition of Virals. We talk about the Tennessee 3 trying to make change. I'm your host, Kendrick Dick, saying so long. Thank you for watching. Bye.